I must say, I didn't see this coming. Biggest story of the day: Nancy Pelosi's hair. You can get it cut. Nancy Pelosi can. She looked really good tossing it around yesterday after she'd been to the salon that no one else can go to in San Francisco. And then Nancy Pelosi displayed that which everyone in the town knows her as: highly intemperate, short fused, refusal to accept responsibility, eager to shift blame, belligerent, angry, and generally representative of Democrats everywhere. Nancy Pelosi, who got caught using liberal privilege, to quote Don Trump Jr.'s book's title, liberal privilege to allow her to go to a salon. Well, she didn't want to talk about it, but the media for once held her to account for a full 3 minutes and 39 seconds. 39 seconds. Cut number 2.
No, I've been there over the years. I've been there many times. I appreciate the question. And let me just say this. I take responsibility for trusting the word of a neighborhood salon that I've been to over the years many times. And that when they said, well, we're able to accommodate people one person at a time, and that we can set up that time, I trusted that. As it turns out, it was a setup. So I take responsibility for falling for a setup. And that's all I'm going to say on that. Anything else?
Can you expound on the
Excuse me? Well, I don't. I think that that this salon owes me an apology for setting up. But I will say this, in fairness to him and sympathetic to him, we have to get our country moving again. And I will not let this subject take away from the fact that we have 180,000 plus people who have died from this virus. Since we passed the bill, more than half of those people have died since we passed the legislation. 4.6 million, I know, 4.6 million have become infected since we passed the legislation. And there are answers. There are scientific answers for this. 96,000 people have died since we passed the HEROES Act. So they want to jump on this. I think it's really important for us to pass the bill so in a scientific way we can address the virus and we can bring people back to work. I have been inundated by people who are in the hair service industry saying, thank you for calling attention to this. We need to get back to work. We need to get back to work. And many of them annoyed at the setup that was there for a purpose that has nothing to do with ending the crisis. Any other questions?
My understanding that you reached out to the salon.
I said that's an answer I'm going to answer. That's all I'm going to do. That's all I'm going to do. That's all I'm going to answer. Do you have any questions about the fact that people are dying, that schools need to open, and the rest? I feel your question and your question are an opportunity, and I thank you for them. An opportunity to say they should. There's more to this that I'm not going into as to the motivation of a salon to say to me, yes, come in, and then they go from there. It was clearly a setup. I take responsibility for falling for a setup by a neighborhood salon that I've gone to for years. And that's really what it is. So, again, I think we should use it as an opportunity to say there's so many people. I don't know where you all get your hair cut or whatever it is, but we have a wealth of people who are engaged in these services. And again, the state and the city, depending on the incidence of infection in those areas, decide how they will function. If the salon is saying that we're able to do this, and they're not, then they should not have said that, and they should not have been open for me to go there. But we trusted a neighborhood salon that I've been to for years. Any other questions?
You know, no, do you get that? She won't answer the question, which is, didn't you call them? She doesn't want to answer that. She's angry. She's pushing it back on the salon owner. Now, let me give you my view of this. The fetching Mrs. Hewitt, the most wonderful woman in the world, and all of you men out there who are married to the second most wonderful woman in the world, just take me at my word. The most wonderful woman in the world, the fetching Mrs. Hewitt, has learned how to cut hair. Now, I think pretty good. If you're watching on HughHewitt.com or on my YouTube channel or on Facebook, which is where I'd recommend you go, or Instagram. It's a little messed up this morning. I got my hairy shave in, so at least I look well shaved this morning, but the hair's a little bit in the back here, a little up there. But she's done a fine job. Her skill set is expanded by one additional skill after 38 years of marriage. She's done a fine job. But she mutters about not being able to go see Ron. And she has twice had her hair cut at her cousin's up north somewhere where she's traveled to visit them. And there, people are allowed to visit your back porch. And so she, for the first time in as long as I've known her, she's used someone other than Ron. But she talks to Ron, and Ron is going crazy because, of course, hair salons maintain the good ones maintain the highest level of sanitation. They maintain complete cleanliness. They have procedures before, during, and after someone is in with their haircut. And it's just stupid. It's a bunch of stupid regulations in and around D.C., in and around Virginia, in and around California, and I suppose many other places. But no haircuts for thee, but a haircut for me, Mrs. Speaker. I just think it just sums up the Democrats. It just sums up the Democrats. Not quite as urgently, though. I want to hear what you think about this, by the way. 1-800-520-1234. Here's the short version again. Cut number 3.
I take responsibility for trusting the word of a neighborhood salon that I've been to over the years many times, and that when they said, well, we're able to accommodate people one person at a time, and that we can set up that time, I trusted that. As it turns out, it was a setup, so I take responsibility.
It was a setup. All right, now who else said that? Marion Barry. The blank set me up, remember? That was a famous, the blank set me up. I can't say it on the air. Well, some blank set up Nancy Pelosi, according to Nancy Pelosi. I don't think so. I think Nancy Pelosi called up and said, can you have me in if we just do me? That's what I think. I think she's lying to you. But that's because I know what she does in every meeting in D.C. It's her reputation. That's what she blows up every meeting in D.C., doesn't accept responsibility. Now, far more important, Washington Post front page. Debate rages over whether the FDA should use emergency powers to clear a coronavirus vaccine early. Ladies and gentlemen, there is no debate. There are Democrats who do not want Donald Trump to win the election. They do not want Operation Warp Speed, which Donald Trump turned loose, to come up with a vaccine and to deploy it. That's what the debate is. Democrats don't want Donald Trump to have led the country through a regulatory nightmare, which is what he had to do. The FDA was a regulatory nightmare. Now, I will tell you that when I see Iowa State playing football this weekend and Ohio State not playing football, I get angry at bureaucrats. And when I see an FDA story leaked out by a couple of FDA former bureaucrats saying there's a story, I just see Democrats. We have solutions to every problem. And Democrats are impeding the country's recovery. And Speaker Pelosi is making sure she gets what she needs while you don't get what you need. And that's the Democratic rule set. Understand that's why you should vote up and down the ticket for Republicans who want to reopen, because they understand. What do you think of this? Do you want the FDA to use its emergency power to approve an efficacious vaccine? I do. Do you want the salons to reopen? I do. Do you want one rule for everybody? I do. 1-800-520-1234 connects you to the Hugh Hewitt Show.
Portions of the Hugh Hewitt Show are brought to you by Job